So you're a sweet man, David, and you have a love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I enjoyed listening to your voice. I confess that when you were asking the question, I would hope you wouldn't stop speaking. I enjoyed the thoughtfulness in your voice. So obviously, we're told in the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu Olav Hashem spoke to God face to face. And yet, when Moses entreats Hashem and says, "Can I see your face?" obviously we're dealing with two different things. Face to face means that Moses was able to speak to God in a fully conscious state, as a man speaks to his friend. And we're told this explicitly in the Torah, with the whole controversy with when Aaron and Miriam unfortunately misapprehended Moses' relationship with Hashem. Hashem says that Moshe Rabbeinu alone I speak openly. With other prophets, HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks in a dream, like we see in Samuel, when he was called to prophecy at the beginning of the book after his name. Or as Ezekiel, we talked about Ezekiel 128. It's a vision, but it's really, you're not seeing the thing itself, like a rainbow. The colors are not in the water or the crystal, the colors are really in the light. And Nevuah, prophecy, only allows us to break apart the different parts of the light that move at a different speed when they're slowed down by something that creates interference. So we can't conflate the two at all, or else we'll have a semantical problem. Moreover, when Hashem says, "No one can see my face and live," Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "I will protect you with my wings." Doesn't mean that God's a chicken. You have to be very careful with this kind of anthropomorphic language in Tanakh. And although I'm always a literalist, which means I always go to the plain meaning of the text, in a case like this, when Moses is asking to see the face of Hashem, what is he really asking for? He wants to see Hashem's nose. Does he have a nice nose, a big nose, a little nose? Does Hashem have nice eyelashes? What kind of lips does Hashem have? You think that's completely preposterous. What is he even asking for? We have to, and when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, "You could see my back, my hind part," what does that mean? Does he have a nice hairdo in the back? Does the nape of his neck very striking, not striking? After all, we're told in the Torah openly that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not an Adam. God is not a man that he will lie. He's not a mortal. Ki netzach Yisrael lo yishakar ki lo Adam hu lihinochem. So you have to first ask yourself, what is going on here? You have to. There are times like that where you have passages that just demand an explanation that's not clear in the text. But it really is clear. But it isn't. Now, I will not suggest even that I could take the metaphysical and translate it, digitize it. It's not possible. But what is in view here, and when are these events occurring, and what is Moshe Rabbeinu asking of God? So this is actually easy to understand. But dismiss the notion that Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to figure out, I wonder what kind of hairline God has. Is it receding or not? Does he have nice eyebrows or not? He has big nostrils, small nostrils. Does he have a little nose, a cute nose, a big nose? He's not interested. That's not what's happening here. Moreover, we're told repeatedly in Tanakh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not a man. Dismiss that. So what is he looking for? What is the difference between God's face in that context and God's back? What's the difference? What's going on there? So the face is what's forward, what's ahead. Moses knows he's set to die, and he wants to know the future. He wants to step into the future with only God has access to. And how does God know what hasn't yet happened? Listen very carefully. I just want a little thought experiment. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows those things which haven't occurred yet. But how can he know? how could God know what has not occurred yet? Just like what is He knowing, right? Like, but it didn't happen yet, so how could He know, right? So, and it can't be that God knows because He is manipulating it Himself because we have free will, right? He says, "I place life and death, good, evil, v'charta v'chayim." So it's not that, it's foreknowledge. How, by what mechanism? I mean, why can't we know what is going to happen? Why can we not know? We can predict when you turn on the news and you want to know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow, right? Should you pack an umbrella for the morning? So the people who are meteorologists, they're not claiming prophecy. They're able to look at maps provided by the government, satellite, and they're able to, based on the pressures and barometers, and I'm never sure what the barometer is, but there's so much barometer and pressure coming from Queens. There's a pressure, the highest pressure coming for the Lincoln Tunnel, that there's some pressure is going to go this way, and the barometer is going to go this way, and there's going to be a snowstorm in Louisiana. But they're not prophets. They're able to look at information and extrapolate what's likely to happen tomorrow. But this is not the case for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, now listen very carefully. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not extrapolating from satellite images and predict. But what rather is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu exists, He Shechein Ad, Isaiah 57, verse 15, which means, if you listen very carefully, that He exists outside the boundaries of His creation. Most germane is light and time. He created it all, but He's not bound by it. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the future. He just sees it. But that's only possible if you're outside the boundaries or the constrictions of creation. That's why the language is, you can't see my face and live. What does it mean if you see my face, you can't see my face and live? What does that mean? Why didn't He just say, if you see my face, you'll die? He could have said it that way. Why is that odd way of saying it? Because you, Moshe Rabbeinu, are living within the constraints of my creation. So therefore, you can't see the future. It's so delicious. It's so delightful. So, of course, I can't take the metaphysical and convey it to you. Of course not. But the principles here are just wonderful. And that is that you can't see my face and live. That means you cannot exist outside the boundaries of creation and be alive. Do you follow? That's why. Now that we understand that, so the meaning of it is exquisite, is delightful. It should stir your soul. Conversely, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? You could see my hind part. What do you mean hind part? Does God have a nice neck and nice shoulders? What do I need to see God's back? Why? What do I need to see? Was he like this? Or does he look like that? That's all silly. Just to know that I'm there with you. And that's the promise, incidentally, not only at the end of Moses' career, but it's also at the beginning of Moses' career. Remember what Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, a blessed memory, in chapter 3, verse 12, that imach, I'm always going to be with you. The hind part is to be understood that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, just know that I'm always there with you. You're going to a troubled time. Your leadership is coming to an end. The man to whom you've given smicha in Numbers chapter 18, we see it repeated again at the end of Deuteronomy, Yoshua ben Nun, he is now going to take over the leadership from you, have the spirit of Hashem that came through you to him is now going to guide the nation. But you should know, I'm always going to be with the Bnei Yisrael, with Klal Yisrael, with the Jewish people. So in this case, we have to he's not looking, I'd love to get a look at you, God. What do you look like? I wonder if you're a handsome fellow. You always see all the gods of the nations of the world, lahavdil, they're all handsome, they're all trim, they're all fit, they have a perfect BMI, gorgeous hair, they look like they belong on a GQ magazine. That's not what Moshe Rabbeinu is interested in. Moshe Rabbeinu wants to see the future. Seeing the future means you have to be outside of the boundaries of creation. That's not possible and live. And that's why that language is used. Why did Hashem, you can't see my face and live? Why can't you say you can't see my face? And live means and exist and subside and be in this world. You have to be outside of creation. That's what it means, and live. My hind part is, you should know that I'm always going to be with you, which is all going all the way back and doing just no tatala. I'm always going to be with the Bnei Israel. I'm always going to be with you. And this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. Here we are. We're probably at the very end of history now. Here we are, and so many prophecies are unfolding as we speak now. And we can now look back with the benefit of hindsight, which our forefathers didn't have, and see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has preserved the Klal Yisrael, the Bnei Israel, has returned them back to their land, Jeremiah 30, verse 3, Amos chapter 9. We see it in front of our eyes. We see that the promises that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made, that I'm always going to be with you. We can't imagine what it was like in a dark place in Poland in 1943. Who could ever imagine what our forefathers went through? But here we are now, and we could see the end is soon coming. And we bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the sechvi, for the rooster, who has the wisdom to know the difference between day and night. It's a blessing we make every morning. It comes from the book of Job. The morning is soon coming, and we'll welcome the coming of the true Mashiach quickly in our time, because I know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always with us. Thank you for your thoughtful question.